The following is rated not safe for work. It contains strong language, adult situations, and lots of spoilers. Discretion is advised.
In the criminal justice system, cinematic-based offenses are considered especially heinous. The dedicated attorneys who investigate these villainous films are members of an elite squad known as the Reels of Justice. These are their stories.
Order, please, order. The Reels of Justice is now in session. Judge Dylan J. Schlender presiding. Your eyes for the Honorable Judge Schlender.
Be seated. Gobble, gobble, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, and welcome to the Reels of Justice.
That is today.
That's right. And it's a real family affair here today in court as we discuss the case of The People vs. Weapons, a 2025 horror movie about a town grief-stricken after several children all run away on the same night. The story then unfolds from different perspectives. For those of you unfamiliar with our court proceedings, we are here to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. As always in this courtroom, films are to be considered excellent until proven awful, and the burden of proof lies upon the prosecution to prove beyond a shadow of a reasonable doubt that this film is guilty. Mr. D-Rok Schlender, oh brother of mine, you are representing the prosecution.
Wait a minute.
Enemy of the pod.
Excuse me, Your Honor, please booing me before I've even had the chance to say anything?
Sounds about right.
Oh, there we go.
That's if you're lucky. So
This is why I demand the show has voir dire.
Never. You may present your opening statement.
All right. Well, a fine director.
I think that's plenty. Thank you. Moving on. No,
You're like this every Thanksgiving.
I'm going to... I sent you all those pictures of threatening your house. You're going to pay attention. All right.
Now stuff this turkey.
So a fine director, an established studio, an interesting premise, plus a truly fantastic trailer and a solid marketing campaign, Weapons seemed primed to be an instant classic. And yet, esteemed members of the jury, and you beautiful people at home, I'm here today to prove to you that this movie is guilty beyond any reasonable doubt. From the opening scene to the closing scene, the movie struggles under the weight of its own construction. Over the course of this case, I'll provide many, possibly too many examples of how poorly realized this film is. When we are done here, I am not only sure you will find this film guilty of being a bad movie, but I guarantee that many of my arguments will take root, and you'll agree that this movie just doesn't hold up the more you think about it.
Thank you, Mr. Schlender. Appearing on behalf of the defense is Mr. Anything in Your Pocket's Gonna Stick Me, Ryan Luis Rodriguez. Please present your opening statement.
That was a good one.
Your Honor, I would like to direct the court's attention to Exhibit A. And I acknowledge arguments should be presented before exhibits, but go with me here.
Okay.
The day was August 9th, 2025 at 6:23 p.m. I received a text message from my friend and distinguished colleague, D-Rok Schlender, and it reads, quote, "I did not like weapons." Unquote. That's it. That's the text. I don't know what brought it on. Still don't. Maybe because I truck amended it. I don't know. But that's just the way it goes. Well, to deny the text, I did like weapons. A lot. It's easily in my top 5 of 2025 for reasons that I will elaborate upon momentarily. And by momentarily, I mean in like 20 minutes, because I know Derek is a verbose man who loves a good argument. I'll probably roll over quickly and show my belly, but hopefully I'm the man to defend this film. Thank you. Case dismissed.
Fantastic. We will not be dismissing the case yet.
Can we rub his belly?
When he rolls over. In the meantime, Mr. Schlender, you may proceed with your first exhibit. Ow! What the heck was that in your pocket, Ryan?
Maynard, that's not what voir dire means.
I know what voir dire means.
Yeah. All right. So let's start at the beginning, right?
I'll allow it.
All right. Thank you. What should be an interesting and mysterious introduction to the premise of the film is instead a voiceover narration from a little girl. This is a true story that took place in my town 2 years ago. Those kids were never found, blah, blah, blah. What the hell is that? We're instantly thrust into two ways of thinking. Either this is an unreliable narrator, in which case we don't need the narrator, just let us experience the events as they unfold, or the narrator is telling the truth, in which case you have sort of deflated one of the key mysteries going into this movie. The narrator then even has the gall to say that, well, not all the kids were missing. One kid did come to class. So now the basic premise isn't even the same, and we're only a couple seconds into this movie. What makes it scary is the unknowing of what's going to happen to the kids, right? It makes it pretty obvious then that when one kid shows up, he's connected to the mystery. And all this exposition, again, just not scary or tense. The lack of awe and terror is even further magnified when the kids start running in slow motion to Beware of Darkness by George Harrison. This isn't horrifying. It's ethereal. It lacks emotional resonance because it's like having a book report read to you, and we don't get to experience anything. We're then treated to yet another wonderful bit of narration that says this investigation has been going on for about 30-ish days, and they're about to reopen the school. The school's been closed for 30 days? First of all, I don't buy that. That dog doesn't hunt. All this is told to us, though, never experienced or lived in as an audience member. And like I said, this is just the first 6 minutes. 6 minutes of being told, which is way too long. It would have been better if the movie had started at like 2:16, camera panning out. Suddenly it's 2:17. Kid shoots up out of bed, runs off camera. We have a camera pushed towards the window. It's eerily quiet, and we just see a bunch of kids running down the street. And that's only seconds. But it's the same amount of information that we got in a 6-minute report. But then again, this movie is constructed poorly, as I will get into in my next points.
I would like Ryan to be able to respond to the intro point. Tell me about this narrator, Ryan. Does this work for the movie?
I think it actually does, because it kind of adds a pastoral shade on the film. And I don't think that Zach Cregger is necessarily going for terror in the opening moments. And I'm not going to sit here and litigate whether or not we're rewriting the film by discussing these portions, by saying we can cut this and cut that, because we didn't make the film. It's not our story to tell. If that's the way he wants to tell it, then I embolden him to tell it that way. And whether or not I like it, even though in the case that I do think that it is entirely unique to open up a horror movie like that, because most of them are told from one specific point of view, but this splinters off into chapters. And what better way to introduce that than to have the perspective of somebody who I think we see for maybe 2 minutes of screen time?
I don't believe the narrator is ever shown.
Okay, then I'm mistaken.
No, but I do, to quickly address what Ryan's talking about.
At the end, though, right?
The narrator bookends the film, correct?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and to be honest, what Ryan's saying is Zach Cregger did say that he got the original idea, was thinking about like a little girl telling the story, but I would say this isn't really shown in any of the marketing, and we are kind of sold a bill of goods as to what we expect the presentation to be. So
yes,
I think
we're not reviewing the marketing, though. We're reviewing.
I think it's important to know that marketing is what gets butts in seats, and I think expectation is part of what goes into whether a movie is good or not. But that's a debate for a whole nother time.
Yeah,
I will, because that's more of like the philosophy of these things. Because they did have like the truth in advertising when they put Ana de Armas in the trailer for Yesterday, and so these things do have merit. But you've already discussed that, so I don't want to.
Derek, if you want to sit down and have a beer and discuss this later, I would absolutely love to.
All right, yeah. Let me get back on script. I will take a brief pause for whoever's editing. All right. So
and we're back.
I'm going to keep that. I'm so going to keep that.
Okay.
Don't tell us how the sausage is made.
Don't tell me when to edit.
Yeah, that's fair. You ceded that power. All right. So my second point, right? A lot of my points are kind of going to play into like a very similar, I don't care for the construction of the film, but I'm going to try and break it up so that way we do give Ryan more chances to, interject, as opposed to me just, ranting for minutes on end. Because he's right. I do tend to do that.
No filibustering. Very good. Continue.
Right. So, after about the 6 minutes of the and then, but then, and now it's been 30 days, and this is where our story really starts. We get to something that made me audibly groan in my theater, and I wasn't the only one. And it's something that Ryan alluded to. We get the title card for Justine, and I knew we were in trouble. The Rashomon-style narrative just doesn't work for this movie. Trying to tell a multiple character story across, character chapters is tricky, and Weapons just does not land it. When you are telling the same scenes from different points of view and requiring on your audience to piece together the timeline, you become very aware of continuity. This movie frequently struggles with continuity and time. For example, starting our character beats 30 days after the kids go missing would be interesting if we were seeing like how defeated and frustrated and downtrodden they were, but all the dialogue make it sound like the kids disappeared 2 or 3 days ago. Simple things like, well, what about the canine units, right? It gets hand waved away. And I guarantee you that 30-day time jump was only thrown in to avoid having to do any investigation procedural scenes, which is unfortunate because it's the not knowing and the immediacy of the kids missing that causes like tension, and it's speculative for us, the viewer. Instead, we're treated to way too many characters. Paul the cop and James the drug addict don't really truly serve a narrative purpose. They progress neither the plot nor character, and actually I'd go so far as to say they impede one of the biggest changes in momentum in the film we get. It's when Archer confronts Justine at the gas station, and suddenly Marcus comes running in and attacks her. Marcus is winning this fight, and the tension and music are swelling, and we get cut to Paul? What the fuck? We're then treated to that Paul James tale. Serious, we're treated to Paul and James tale back to back, and they don't add up, and that makes mess of like the sense of time yet again. Like Paul clearly parks his car outside Alex's house and goes in for hours, comes out at night, drags James in. The next day, Alex is coming home from school, sees the police car and acts surprised. My dudes, you just showed us that the car had been there since the previous day. And speaking of Alex and inconsistent timeline, when Justine goes to visit him or is like watching him from the car, why isn't that motherfucker carrying 30 cans of soup like he's supposed to? You know why? Because that would reveal too much to the audience. Well, when you show us Alex's story and he's carrying soup in these moments, he should be carrying soup when Justine sees him. This whole thing's a mess. No one noticed his parents were missing or that the only kid from the classroom started buying enough soup to feed a small army. Like, just in terms of world building, and I know it may not be the point, but you have to ask, where are the nosy neighbors that would have been freaked out to see a car painted with witch across the side of it out there beside their homes for like a couple days? And Justine, how long has she been in town? Like, they say she's a new teacher during the opening monologue, but she has some deep roots with Paul and Donna. I mean, there's just so many inconsistencies about how the timeline of the characters and the events actually play out that it just boggles the mind. And the more you scrutinize it, the less it makes sense.
All right, D-Rok, let's pinch it there for a second because I'd like Ryan.
I did pinch it there.
Yeah, no, it was very, very well executed.
Pinched.
Ryan, can you talk about the different timelines and perspectives that we're seeing in this film?
Yes, I love the timeline specifically because this movie could have been easily Magnolia. It could have been a sprawling epic that takes place over a condensed period of time involving a lot of characters that coalesce into different arcs, and those arcs then become mini arcs, and they begin to cross-pollinate with other things. What I like is that he really is taking a fraction of time and splitting it. And the fact that setting it 30 days later eliminates all the procedural elements, I think that's great, because I think far too many horror movies have procedural elements, which is something that reminds me a lot of television and not necessarily something that's cinematic. Unless you're doing a detective story or a cop story, I think that having them there is going to be a distraction. And if you want to preserve some kind of mystery, and as Derek noted, they give away some of the mystery right up front. If you want to preserve any at all, you've got to get rid of the cop characters.
And now,
only they don't get rid of the cop characters.
He also mentioned there was the cop character, and I think it was the drug addict he mentioned too.
Yes,
that is actually a reference to Magnolia.
Okay,
in that it is John C. Reilly's character who loses his gun when he's trailing a suspect, and is basically as incompetent at his job as young Han Solo is in this.
You know, in my notes I called him Cop Solo.
Cop Solo.
I like that.
All right, well, let's unpinch it and go back to Derek.
All right. Speaking of things not meshing during like the timeline of things, let's talk about some of these lazy plot beats, right? For example, and I don't think there's anything more lazy than Archer wondering if he draws 2 straight lines on a map that the kids ran in, maybe he can figure out where they were headed. He uses 2 ring cams, literally draws 2 straight lines, draws an arbitrary circle, and he's like, the answer must be in here. Oh, wow. 30 days of police, FBI, and canine units get fucked because no one knows how to draw a bunch of lines. Dude, 2 lines isn't even triangulation, right? The authorities had access to way more information than that. Yet Justine is like, oh shit, Alex lives somewhere in that arbitrary circle. Like, fuck me. We get a flashback of Gladys telling Alex to clean the house because the law will be arriving the next day. So she sends the children out into like the sewer runoff while the cops do, get this, a wellness check. They're there to see how Alex lives. They're not even there based on any investigative evidence. And this is during the time the FBI and K-9 units would be active. Like the 17 kids running around, who we see ignore difficult terrain from time to time. There's no pieces of clothing, no hair, no skin, no blood, nor anything, no broken leaves or. And remember how like Archer draws those straight lines and concludes that the kids are moving in a locked, fixed position towards a target? No, not even a little bit, because in that same flashback with Alex, we see the kids run down the street and even take the corners to get to Alex's house. They're not even running in like laser straight lines. So like all of this is based on speculation and nonsense. And I'm serious, as obsessed as everyone in the town is, like still, I'd like to point out nobody's keeping an eye on Alex's house. Not when they covered the whole thing in newspapers, not when days worth of mail and papers were accruing. No one thought of it, not to even mention, again, seeing him walk with all that soup.
Mr. Rodriguez, are we just supposed to believe that the police are profoundly incompetent in here? I mean, what?
Yes.
Okay. Let's expand on that.
That answers that.
It's one of those things where I think that's a meta-critical moment in Krager's storytelling that kind of lets you know this town is, everybody knows everybody's secrets, at least they think they do. And then this is one of those seismic moments that proves that nobody knows exactly who their neighbors are, because something like this could be going on inside the house. And as for the triangulation part, and that nobody in the FBI or the cops figuring it out, I think because it's meant to be a personal story separated between 5 or 6 different protagonists, I think that they wanted to give them something concrete to do that would solve a mystery without actually solving it.
All right. My counter argument to that is that works better in your narrative if this is like day 2, they're still mobilizing their task force. I don't think it holds water when you specifically say there's been 30 days of investigation. We live in the day and age where we can watch a Netflix documentary about anything, and all we see is how quickly they mobilize and gather information, right? It takes a long time for the Justice Department to like act on it, but access to information is usually, you have so much of it that it could be a problem, but they don't even talk about that in this. So I think the Josh Brolin being frustrated works better if it's like day 2 or 3, not day 30.
Well, day 30, he's desperate. At day 30, he needs to have his son back now. 2 or 3 days is stressful as a parent, but my God, if they're gone for 30 days, that's a nightmare. That's an existential threat.
I think given the nature of his character, and again, this is just speculative debate, I think on like day 5, he would have been, because we're introduced to him like curled up in bed, for his chapter arc. Like, so how does a man who then goes from that to becoming that obsessed? I think he would have had to have passed through obsessed to become that sad.
Well, we could go back and forth on a point like that. I'm sure the jury will have some thoughts, but Mr. D-Rok, if you have any other points you'd like to bring up.
Sure. What even is Gladys, right? They so desperately want her to be like it. Like her powers are clearly based in blood magic, but she's also able to like psychically terrorize certain people. Why? Why can she appear in Justine's nightmares? Why Archer's nightmares? Why does she appear as like a figment to James in the woods? Are there other people having strange visions of Gladys? What's with the don't cross the salt there at the end? Where did that come from? Doesn't she need something that belongs to her target? Didn't she already use Justine's hair with Marcus? How is she able to weaponize Josh Brolin and then sick him on Justine? Did she do blood magic in the basement? I find that hard to believe because her blood magic stuff is upstairs with Alex, which, as it turns out, can also do blood magic. Now, is it anyone can do blood magic, or is he actually related to her? Because they imply she may not actually be related to them. She gets some cool scenes, but all that hard work is also ultimately undone with that horrible attempt at like comedy at the end. The running and being chased by the kids, right? It's very Benny Hill. I think I saw Ryan say one time, just put Benny Hill music on it. And it's incredibly
That comes
accurate.
up later in my case.
Yeah, it's accurate though, but it is accurate. And even the way that it's like shot, like, you know, from people inside their house looking out and you just hear the muted, oh my God, you know, it's like, okay. And then the gruesome dismembering of her immediately after, it's like, I'm kind of rolling my eyes thinking like, this is totally a mess. Josh Brolin somehow magically snaps out. He's the only person who snaps out of her spell, which I'm still not even sure how he was put under it, to be honest. And then he picks up his kid and he starts walking down the street and we get voiceover narration. It's like, some of the kids have started talking again. Okay, so your opening monologue then you admitted was a lie. These kids were found, you know, unless they're trying to be, oh, they didn't come back as in like they're still not quite mentally there. But I think that's stretching it.
Oh, what a twist.
Why have any narration at all? I think it detracts from everything. And you know what? By the end of the movie, I had kind of forgotten that we had opened it with like, hey guys, guess what? And then they're like, and here's the ending. This is like it feels tacked on because it is tacked on. Zach Krieger, apparently they did a test screening and people weren't happy with Archer just grabbing his son and walking off into the distance. So they said, throw another voiceover narration at it, which is a Band-Aid. It's lame. I don't think it works. I don't care for Gladys as the character. I don't really care for her ending. And I don't care how it all just kind of funnels into that very anticlimactic finale.
All right, Mr. Rodriguez, would you like to?
Yeah, I have 2 points on that.
Okay, very
First, with the narration being all encompassing in the beginning and then disappearing until a certain point in the narrative. The Royal Tenenbaums does the exact same thing by introducing every single character by Alec Baldwin's manslaughterer Alec Baldwin's opening narration, and then does not appear again until an hour and 35 minutes where he says literally one line. As soon as he said it, Royal Tenenbaum realized that this was true. That's it. And yet nobody complains about it because it's a Wes Anderson movie, and hey, Wes Anderson's doing Wes
I
Anderson.
complain about
it. But let me talk
D-Rok
about
loves Wes Anderson.
Let me talk about Gladys.
Well, I do love the old Wes Andersons. Yes, I really do.
I love all Wes Anderson. That's just me being a bitch. Let's talk about Aunt Gladys, the most popular / polarizing character of the motion picture. She's the one behind the disappearance of the children, and it's never really clear why she's doing what she's doing. Now, director Zach Krieger giving unrecognizable Amy Madigan 2 options for her backstory. One, where she's an immortal entity performing, quote, an approximate simulacrum of a human being, unquote, or a regular person using witchcraft to stave off a deadly and incurable condition, and did not ask her which one she picked. It reminds me a lot of when director Mary Harron was making American Psycho, and she had the detective character played by Willem Dafoe play every scene 3 ways. One where he knew that Patrick Bateman was the killer, one where he merely suspected Bateman, and one where he didn't suspect Bateman at all. Throughout every scene in which he appears, she cut between all 3 options to keep the audience on their toes. And I like to think that Krieger is doing this in a similar manner. At the very least, it looks like I'm capable of understanding movies and communicating about them. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Aunt Gladys is the most popular character in the film, and I even have a perfect example of how I know this. A week before Halloween, the bartender at my local movie theater asked me point blank what my holiday plans were for the holiday, and I pointed out that I was researching a Christmas movie for a podcast. I don't think she cared about my answer. She just wanted to share, going on to ask me if I had seen Weapons, just as my distinguished colleague did, very similar fashion, and I answered in the affirmative. She then shared that she would be going as Aunt Gladys. Now, when AMC bartenders are dressing up as characters from a movie like Weapons, and I will inform the court that the people who work at AMC do not know nor care about movies, then it's time to pay attention. Gladys is also related to what I like most about the movie. I don't get it. Normally that's a complaint, but my intellect is limited, and when a movie appeals to me in some fashion and I don't get it, it instantly becomes a favorite of mine. I love movies that inspire conversation, and clearly this does. And regardless of the outcome, at least you can say you've never seen anything like it. Even Krieger, in his own words, has said, quote, if I had to go out and explain any of the meaning, that would be a failure of the movie. I have to let the movie be the movie. I can't go and be like, did you catch that? I did that on Barbarian, and I regret it. It's better to let just the art be the art and let people have their own relationship with it. I shouldn't be part of the conversation. One of these days, I'll have a take. I just don't now, and according to the director, that's okay.
Quick point about that. He does say in, you can call them special features if you want. They're little featurettes. It was terrible. Yeah, well, he says it's about loss, it's about alcoholism and all these things. And I don't think there's any part of the movie that really reads that. And as a matter of fact, I believe its handling of alcoholism is quite cartoonish and very surface level.
Ooh,
like
we're gonna
much
get
like
to that too.
Oh, I won't step on it if you have a point about it.
All right. Were you going to rest on that point, Mr. Schlender, or do you have anything else you'd like to present?
No. Let's get to Ryan's stuff.
All right. So, Mr. Schlender has rested. Mr. Rodriguez, you may present any additional exhibits you have in defense of the film.
Okay. This is going to get personal, as my cases often do, which is why I do not do very many of them. First, I want to discuss the cast, namely Julia Garner, who had a great late July, early August this summer, first appearing as the Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four, second playing the lead in Weapons, the teacher of the class of 17 children who mysteriously go missing. Garner's character is a sad alcoholic, and as a fellow sad alcoholic, I can say that she gets it right on the money. There's a level of shame that comes with crippling substance addiction, a level of anger. Like someone is judging you, and it results in nothing but bile and a level of denial, as if you don't understand why anyone would care. And director Zach Cregger based her illness on his own father's, calling him, quote, a scary drunk. She is so fucking good in this film. And as are all the adults. Josh Brolin, who we've mentioned several times, playing the lead bereaved parent, even gets top billing, even though it's not his movie, but he's more famous than Garner, so whatever. And he's particularly great, especially when the two team up to find out what's going on. The aforementioned young Han Solo, Alden Ehrenreich, pops up as a bad cop who, lucky for him, has an illicit relationship with Garner's character. Then we have the always underrated Toby Huss and Benedict Wong. How often do you get to utter both of those names in one sentence? Delivering great character actor performances. The cast is great from top to bottom.
All right.
Any response to the cast, Eric?
I will say two things about the cast. I think the cast is great, and I think they are elevating what is otherwise mediocre writing. I do appreciate, especially seeing Toby Huss, but he should have been a bigger part of this character. He has more connection to everybody and the town, and I think the few glimpses we get of him, they don't really do anything. And again, I don't like Paul. I don't like James. I think a Toby Huss as character probably would have made a little more sense. As for the alcoholism, I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but I do think he referred to in the special features, it was Aunt Gladys that was the representation of his father's alcoholism, because it was something scary when you came home that seemed frightening and changed his father. I think the Julia Garner alcoholism might be more of a reflection of his own struggles with addiction, but I'm not going to get too far afield than that. And when it comes to alcoholism, buddy, you're preaching to the choir. I don't think there's anybody here who doesn't understand. It's like, how many beers are you having right now, Ryan? Because I'm on beer 3.
I think that text Ryan got is making a little bit more sense now.
It is the Thanksgiving episode. It's also a secret intervention episode.
Ryan, quick, pull the mics.
All right, Mr. Rodriguez.
But those were the 2 points I had on that.
Thank you, Mr. Schlender. Mr. Rodriguez, you may continue.
Yes, as has been mentioned ad nauseum by this point, Weapons was written and directed by the aforementioned Zach Cregger, and I'm proud to say that I knew Cregger before he was hitting the horror zeitgeist as a big fan of his comedy troupe, The Whitest Kids You Know. In fact, I was such a fan that when I wrote my second ever television pilot that never actually got picked up, because if it did, I wouldn't be here, I wrote a role for him as a series regular, playing a skeptical coroner with a 6-season arc, because I knew that there were some dramatic skills lying beneath his comedic ones. A few years after his show ended, he wrote and directed Barbarian, covered on this very podcast not too long ago, and 3 years later directed Weapons. Speaking of The Whitest Kids, Cregger initially started writing this film as a way to process his grief when his fellow troop leader, Trevor Moore, tragically died a few years ago, and you can sense that he's working through some issues. Krager's greatest skill is presenting a narrative, or at least a shard of one, to be assembled into a complete picture by the time the film ends, that it's impossible to predict or get ahead of. There's no way when you sit down in your local theater with a bucket of popcorn in your lap and that drink that's going to give you the old diabetes and your cup holder, you begin watching Weapons and you'll see that last 12 minutes coming. When that stampede of magically abducted children charges through and destroys houses and anything that gets in their way before they tackle Aunt Gladys and rip her to pieces, one of the funniest and best directed sequences I've seen in years. I was cackling in the theater. And something immediately came to mind, as it was mentioned a couple minutes ago. If you added yakety sax to that entire sequence, this goes from a gentleman's 8 to a gentleman's 9 in a goddamn heartbeat. Krager is such a master of tone, despite what Derek thinks, that it's stunning that this is only his second film. Galling, even. He should know. I mean, he knows how to balance the humor with pathos to make a movie about angry, grieving citizens brought together through trauma. Usually when a director makes their second film and breaks up the narrative, those shards I mentioned earlier, into chapters identified by the name of the character they're following, as Derek has alluded to, that can be interpreted as pretentious, but this film is not, goddammit, and I rest my case.
All right, quick question from the bench then, Mr. Schlender. Was the final chasing with the kids and ripping glass apart, was that played for comedy in your estimation?
Oh, there's no doubt in anyone's mind that last scene was played for comedy. I say you could ask anybody who's seen the movie. I have people I've talked to at work, our brother Casey, both our parents. They found it tonally jarring that the ending of the movie was done so silly. And you can see that it's silly, like especially that one scene where she's running by the window and you just hear her running by like real quiet. Like it's almost similar to Ghostbusters in that regard, where it's like the muted sound and like, isn't that something? You know, that's played for jokes. But again, you didn't build that tone with the whole movie. You threw it in at the very end where you're like the resolution and you're supposed to be more invested in this finale, and saying it's funny and like you had a good time with it and you were laughing. That's great, but tonally, the movie, I don't think earned it. But again, that's up for the jury to decide whether or not the over-the-top comedic element at the end of that movie, coming off some very serious sequences, if it was earned or if it was out of place.
All right, very good. Mr. Rodriguez, if you'd like to counterpoint anything that was just said, or we can move on to closing statements.
No, we can move on to closing statements.
Very good. Both sides have rested their cases. You may now present your closing statement, Mr. Schlender.
Well, no doubt, my friends, this has been quite the case, and there's been a lot of information and examples thrown at you. I do not envy how you must be feeling. I, too, was excited and ready to like this movie. But let's recap some of the facts. The movie's too long. It's over 2 hours long, in fact, and the pacing is killed wholly by the Rashomon storytelling that forced a Paul and James story on us right when the tension of the Marcus attack had us all intrigued. There are too many inconsistencies in the timeline of events. How much are you, the viewer, supposed to forgive when the movie itself is structured specifically to put focus on timeline events? How invested can we truly be in a villain with no defined rules or powers? Doesn't your heart sink a little when the movie opens with the voiceover narration talking about the events in past tense? We skip over the immediacy and urgency of the kids going missing to focus on, well, what really of significance? If we're being honest, what of significance actually plays out in the 2-hour runtime? I mean, these are just a few of the many points that we've brought up and discussed today, but it falls to you to think critically about the evidence and arguments presented. We all wanted to like Weapons, but the reality is that the movie just doesn't hold up to scrutiny, the weight of its ambitions, and its merits lessened by the thought. And for those reasons, you must find it guilty.
Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez, please present your closing statement.
This jury's deliberation can only go one of two ways.
That's true.
Either you recognize the quality of the film and deliver the verdict that we all know it deserves, not guilty, or you come together in the service of a safe, namby-pamby, unremarkable dime-a-dozen horror movie and deliver the verdict that we all know is wrong, guilty. I'm not going to say that if you don't like this movie, you're a bad and wrong person, but I'm not saying that. Seriously, don't be that guy. The guy who says he doesn't like Weapons with no context whatsoever. You know what? That reminds me of someone. Should I start over? I thought of a response. Let me grab my phone. Case dismissed.
Okay.
It was Derek.
It was a callback. Yeah, I got
It was clearly meant to be a starting point for conversation that ultimately led us to this moment. I'm sorry I didn't preface my text with, in a couple months, Derek and Ryan are going to sit down on Reels of Justice.
Was it your first message to him out of nowhere, though?
No.
Oh, okay.
I sent him messages
You
all the
guys are
time.
old friends, I see.
Yeah, they talk about Thundercats all the time. Okay, now thank you all, members of the jury, Mr. Dylan J. Schlender, Mr. Maynard Bangs, and Mr. Big Ben Haslar. You have all heard the facts concerning this case. It is now up to you to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. The bailiff will escort you to the deliberation room to render your verdict.
Right this way? You know, I wonder if Gladys ever considered sending the little tykes into Area 51.
Oh, yeah, because the guy did in the Naruto run.
Yeah, which I'm surprised you didn't bring up.
The bailiff ate both drumsticks. He was supposed to save one for me, damn it.
What are we going to play with now?
Giving.
You got a funny voice there, Maynard?
I do. You're for me.
All right, cool.
Yeah, but he's going to do the interview.
Yeah.
Been fooled by aphrodisiacs in the past.
All right, Weapons. I saw this movie and I loved it. I immediately put on my top 10 of the year for 2025. I rewatched it for this case. I liked it substantially less. I don't know exactly where I fit in it because I don't hate it yet, but I have the suspicion if I watch it a few more times, it will keep dropping, and I don't know how many times it will take before I hit that equalibrium.
Well, how much of a drop are we talking, Ben? Because you said like you really
almost
liked
a full
it
star. I'm thinking. I did want to kick it off my top 10 list. Now that doesn't make it bad. I don't want to like immediately say that's bad territory because then we have no conversation. but it is like the way it plays with time. Like the first time you're watching it, you're like, okay, I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to figure it out. And what it gives you is enough to get to the end. But when you watch it again and you know the end, like the clues aren't there. They're very much leaning on that ambiguity to sort of like patch it yourself. Like he was saying, like, does Gladys have psychic powers? You know, like you don't know the first time you're watching that, like, is that what was happening there? But on a second watch, you're like, wait a minute, if it's blood magic, is it like some sort of resonance that like attached itself to the kid or whatever? Like it doesn't answer those questions. And it seems to be referencing other films like Magnolia, which I haven't seen, and Royal Tenenbaums, which I despise. So I don't know that helps. But I do
despise Royal Tenenbaums. Jesus.
I think that there's a lot to be said about it, though. I did like some of the defense's points. It does have a great cast. I think that third act, the comedy in it, is meant to be very cathartic, which can happen if you're like in a terrifying situation and like all of a sudden you're safe. You kind of laugh. I think it was kind of trying to use that as its reaction. What were you thinking, Maynard?
So I saw this just a few days ago, so I hadn't seen it when it did come out. So I saw it after we knew we were going to do this case. So it was my first time seeing it. I'm very interested in the first act. I loved Garner's character. I thought her performance was great. I thought there was a lot for me to invest in. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly she disappears. And it's kind of same thing for Brolin. He's doing great. I'm totally involved. And then he disappears too. And so I have to agree, the second act is really where this thing falls apart because I'm not terribly interested in the cop or the drug addict at all. And they kind of feel like they're padding out things. I know Rashomon's your kind of thing, Ben, but in Rashomon, it's different perspectives of the same story, right? We're not everyone's telling the truth, though, right?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say it's Rashomon.
Yeah, I don't think it's more just non-linear, kind of almost like Pulp Fiction.
It's a different vantage point of the same situation rather than a different perspective.
Vantage point being a movie that is very like this.
Ooh, you see. Now that said, I am really interested in Act 3. So I feel like when we get back to the kids' story and we find out everything that's going on, it kind of gets back on the rails, and I'm very interested. I don't entirely know how the blood magic works. I kind of don't care exactly. I agree with you saying,
don't
Ben,
we like villains who have rules or magic or monsters that have rules here?
I mean, I think there were rules. I just couldn't necessarily understand them from one watch. Like you take something personal, you ring a bell, and that sort of primes them. You snap the stick, and that's who they chase. I would probably have to watch it again to see it really be consistent. I do think that the kid could recreate it as long as he had the pieces he needed. I was fine with that. And I did.
The first time I watched it, I
ending-
was with you. The second time, I was like thinking like Derek, where it's like, well, wait a minute, how did they do that when the thing's upstairs?
Yeah, I'd have to watch it again for that to fall apart for me. Because I was so surprised by him coming out, hypnotized that I guess you're right. Maybe she had to stick with her down there. Now the stampede chase, which seemed to be a big sort of talking point, was probably my favorite part of the whole movie. I guess it's kind of funny, but I was just so busy cheering for those kids slamming through doors and windows and just cheering them the hell on and telling them, go, fuck yeah, that I guess I didn't really laugh it off, but I agree with your word cathartic, Ben. That's the way it felt. Like the whole movie is a bit tense, and then you kind of know it's all going to be okay at that point. And you just want them to fuck her up. Derek is right, though. I kind of don't understand her like, how does she psychically appear to other people? There's a lot of problems there in the middle where I think he was just kind of trying to pad out the movie before he got to the end.
Right.
And the cops should have been able to find these kids. They had canine scent units. They can follow those kids.
Oh yeah,
this lawn.
No, he was on the money
problem
there.
Yeah, like they should find those kids without a problem. But
no, it actually might have been better if it was like mired in like bureaucracy. Like these things do tend to get mired up.
Or if it was just like he said, if it took place 2 days after and they just haven't had the time yet, then that might make sense. Where the parents aren't going to wait for the cops to find it; they're just going to do it.
But he's right. The kids were turning to get to places like the straight lines ain't going to do it, and the canines should have found them. No explanation.
Overall, this director reminds me a lot of M. Night Shyamalan, where he gets one idea, and even if there's a whole bunch of plot holes that don't work with it, he's just like, I don't care. I'm going with this one idea. And you're like, but what about all this shit? And he's like, I don't care. It's a beach where everyone gets old. I don't care. Schlenzo, what do you think?
Well, I agree about the kids being found. I mean, they're running in bare feet across streets. I mean, there's going to be blood. There's going to be broken leaves when they go in the branches and leaves and things. Also, one minor correction to you, Maynard. Royal Tenenbaums already had its day. It went up against Moonrise Kingdom and lost.
See, I don't even remember. Oh my god.
No, that's why I pay attention. As the principal host, this is my burden. So here's the thing. They say, oh, we want to like this movie. I did not have particularly high expectations for this movie. And I did not like the way it unfolded. I didn't like the different ways of telling the story. I think if you just did a movie that was a bit more straightforward with the teacher and the father teaming up, and again, the 30-day jump, that is just, God, that's just a bit much for the kids.
Fix almost everything.
Yeah, for the kids to still be in town too. That's the thing. I mean, like, if she had like immediately liquidated the kids, right, and like they end up like finding the bones, or I mean, I don't know, but like the fact the kids were alive this whole time, it's like, well, okay, that's just too much. It should have been like an Ernest Scared Stupid thing where they find a bunch of little dolls of all the kids. I mean, so many ways you can fix this movie. And I think the end, and the reason I think the judge asked whether this was played for comedies, because like Maynard, I felt it to be more cathartic. I'm like, yeah, kids, get them. But like, if that's supposed to be funny, I didn't think it was particularly funny. I mean, I thought it was cathartic because this movie was so freaking boring up until that point. Yeah, no, see, I didn't think it was funny. I didn't laugh. I mean, like, I was cheering because again, it was cathartic, but it wasn't. I didn't find it to be funny at all. And I feel, as you mentioned, Ben, on a rewatch, and obviously Ryan and Derek have had to rewatch this a few times. The more you rewatch it, the more glaring these things are going to be, and definitionally, that's going to be, that scene itself will be less cathartic because it's coming and all the trouble it takes to get to it. So it was really pops for the first one, that the first time you watch it, but I can't see having that same pop again on a rewatch. I'm just beginning to think this director's a hack. I mean, like, you look at Barbarian. You look at this, it is not a particularly impressive track record. I think he does have his head up his own ass a little bit. But that said, I'm kind of 50-50 right now.
All right. Well, are we ready to lock in? Maynard, you want to go?
I'm pretty 50-50 myself. I didn't get to watch it multiple times. I only get to watch it the one time. So the one watch, I don't know how we consider a movie. Does a movie have to hold up to multiple viewings to be good? Or can it just kind of...
Depends on what you think its intentionality is. I would guess, like, the way it's trying to tell it achronistically, it's like trying to hold up to multiple watches so you can try and piece it together. And if
That's
that's
what
the
I
case, it
worry
fails.
about. I
Yeah.
want to watch it again to try to find the breadcrumbs, and if they're not there, if he's not carrying soup when he should be, when he meets the teacher
no,
later,
he's not. He's not.
Right, that's gonna make me mad. Like, where the hell's your soup, bro?
And no one noticed that he's buying 30 cans of soup like every other day. I mean, and you gotta.
Hey, Kevin McAllister did it.
I mean, a lot of the stuff, Derek. Yeah, but dude, that was we're in a different time now. Kevin McAllister wasn't in a town where 17 kids went missing, you know. But so
yeah, and he's the only kid.
It's just, and then like the way they hand wave away the parents, like, oh, he had a stroke, so I'm going to talk for him now. It's like, who the hell are you, lady? No, that's not how any of this works. Well, and I have
that the fact that both parents stopped showing up to work at the same time that the 17 kids disappeared, and their son's the only one still coming, makes them just prime suspects.
And having worked in a public school for a little bit, and knowing people who worked in a public school for a little bit, they take this, like, the parent stuff real seriously. They're not going to accept this woman just coming in saying she's an aunt. Like, they won't do that. Not any school worth its salt, especially not a school where
she did kind of have to force her way into that guy's house, though, to kind of get that moving.
I'm just saying, like, that stuff was just hard to believe, but that's just because I have a little more insider knowledge on.
Yeah, my mom's a school counselor. I was thinking some of that too. It's like,
exactly.
No.
So like, that could just be, putting too fine a point on it, but it did bug me. It's just like even the worst school doesn't, come on. Anyway, I'm very comfortable.
Hey, I didn't lock in yet. You just steamrolled and interrupted me.
I am.
No, you're not going to. I'm as the primary host, I'm overruling you.
He has the conch. Schlender. Respect the conch.
See, I've got the conch. I feel like you guys will go one way. I mean, I like horror.
You gotta vote the right way, man.
I do think the acting is very good, but mostly in the first act. And I do like the kid. So I really like the first act. I really like the second act, or the third act. I don't like anything that happens kind of in the middle. And I do agree that the cutting around is very jarring. It's tough. It's kind of a coin toss. I think it kind of teeters on a knife edge. There's so much I like, and then there's a bunch I don't. I want to be a little bit generous because it's 50-50. So I'll leave it in your guys' hands. I'm going to go not guilty. And a lot of it is that stampede of children through doors. Man, I love that. Boo. That's cinema. That part is cinema.
Boo. You're such a coward, man. But that's okay. It's what the people have come to expect. I am going guilty today based on the strength of the case and the fact that, everything they said was true. And none of that. And as much as I appreciate Ryan's passion for the movie and the stuff he liked about it, none of that overcomes the numerous deficiencies that were pointed out. So this one is manifestly guilty, in my opinion. Big Ben, we leave it in your capable hands, your strong, capable hands.
I'm with Maynard. The things I like about it, I really like. The things I don't like, I really hate. I kind of hate when films. I think there's good ambiguity, and then there's like kind of frustrating ambiguity where they kind of use it as I don't know, all these loose ends, you put them together. And it feels like he's kind of doing that. He's like, if that barbarian quote is true, it's like I explained too much in that one. I think Barbarian succeeds a bit better than this does, kind of for that reason. I don't need everything explained, but I do need some things explained, and leaving things open.
Ambiguity works when you have options, not
not like where you're like completely picking at your scab all the time. You're like, well, wait a minute. Well, wait a minute. Well,
it could be A, B, or C, but when you're saying, well, it could be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, blah, 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 it's like, okay, well, that's just too much. That's just
I'm exploring alcoholism just by having it on the screen and not saying anything about it. That's also kind of frustrating. I like it when they at least try to say something that was worth my time. I do appreciate Ryan's defense. It was a good one, but I think Derek really articulated a lot of the things that was scratching at the back of my mind that bugged me on this second watch. I didn't want to think too much about it because I wanted to be swayed, but he did put that into words. So I will go guilty. Let's go tell that very handsome judge.
Very good. Mr. Foreman, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. In the case of The People versus Weapons, we find the defendant guilty of being a bad movie.
Boo! We're bad people.
All right, pass me the mashed potatoes. The verdict is so rendered. Weapons will be kept locked in our basement eating soup until such time we can muster the funds to toss it into movie hell. Court is adjourned.
This is Plymouth Rock, colonial heavyweight champion of the New World, brother. Reporting you live from outside the reels of justice. D-Rok Schlender, you're apparently some kind of AI concocted by Elon Musk. Why don't you tell us what you thought about the jury's verdict?
One moment, please.
Number 4.
Yeah, all right. Alcoholism. What did I win? No, just kidding. I think I understand people really having like strong feelings for the movie, and I do appreciate quite a few aspects about it. One of the things that was mentioned, like Marcus being actually very good at his job and being like, oh, well, we can't really take the word of somebody we've never met. So there are moments in this movie that are pretty good. But overall, I think the jury came to the right decision and for the right reasons. I really appreciate them listening to my arguments and taking them to heart. And this movie, speaking of hearts, it kind of broke mine because I really did want to like it. That being said, I think Zach Krager is going to do a great job on Resident Evil, and I'm excited to see his take on it.
Oh, God.
All right, well, I'm going to mash your potatoes and stuff you myself. Thank you very much. Now, Ryan Luis Rodriguez, my arms are bigger than your entire torso. Do you think that had something to do with the jury's verdict today?
No.
Are you
But
sure?
anyway, Derek is playing three-dimensional chess and I'm playing checkers, so I'm not surprised that I lost. I'm not even mad about it. I'm miffed, but I'm not mad. So, whatever.
Don't worry, no one escapes religious persecution, which is the name of my modified full Nelson finisher. That's all the time we have from outside the reels of justice. Let's go to the studio for post-trial analysis. And don't miss the title match this Sunday, where I'll be defending against Big Chief Wampum, live on pay-per-view. It ain't gonna be no squash match. It's gonna be a Thanksgiving.
Stop the religious persecution.
He'll be taking one-way trip on the Pain Flower. This was an interesting case. This is, to me, a 50-50 movie. I think you can take parts of it and make it better and clean it up. I love Gladys, the witch. I don't care that I don't know more about her.
Over the house.
What over the house?
The guns. When he's having the dream with the gun over the house. I don't. Like,
that was kind of okay. I mean, it was weird imagery, but like dreams are weird. Have you ever tried to someone explain a dream they had to you? Like they do say stuff like that.
Yes. Well, I mean, Josh Brolin
saw a gun
says
and there was a time on it.
There's a lot of talk about saying that's how Josh Brolin knows they were weaponized, but that's also a misnomer because the children were not weaponized. A giant Duracell battery would have made more sense.
Yeah, they weren't set off at that point, which they almost should have just walked slowly to her house rather than running in the weird way they did. But walking actually probably would have been.
But it's not as
visual. They could have had it raining. They could have had it raining too. That could have tamped down the scent.
The opening credits are gorgeous. I will disagree with Derek. I loved the George Harrison thing. I agree with it being ethereal, but I just thought it was beautiful.
I just think it's lame and it's following up on like
there would have been so many other ring cams and security cams too in the neighborhood like that.
Again, I just think this guy is the next M. Night Shyamalan, where he can.
All right, we're going to go about this thing for like another hour if we keep talking about it.
He's got wild ideas. Anyway, so Derek, what's been keeping you busy lately? What have you been up to?
Well, we restarted Trailer Trash, Maynard and I.
Hey! Nice.
Yeah.
I was on that show.
Return of the Trash.
Yeah.
Return of the trash.
So that's been fun.
A few of them should be out by now.
Yeah. Almost why one would think a month and then some.
Yes, we've all been watching them the past few weeks, enjoying the hell out of them.
You know who really can't get enough of them? Chris Sabicki. My God, that guy really loves Trailer Trash. So doing that, doing videos every now and then, doing some live streams of gaming every once in a while. But other than that, I just kind of.
Where can we find this?
We can find this at Schlender 5 Productions on YouTube.
Very good.
And
the new social media account you've set up.
Oh, I should probably do that.
I imagine you did it weeks ago.
You know what? Somehow I think that when I hear this, it will remind me.
It'll be far too late. There is a Trailer Trash Twitter if people want to follow it. I don't post to it much anymore, but I think it's
I'll make us like an actual like Schlender 5 thing, and we'll do a subsection for Twitter. Well, I should probably do it anyway.
That's true. It's because that one just has trailer trash stuff, but I haven't updated it in a really long time. But you can check out back episodes too. We did have Big Ben Haslar on. As soon as we can talk Ryan to coming to the East Coast, he'll be on.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. Trailer trash is a lot of fun. Also, like doing reviews too. I'd like to do more like reviews where we just sit and talk to each other. It's why we started doing like Decadent, because it's how we hang out anyways. Why not just turn it into like a little video?
And what is Decadent? Do you want to tell people what your
That's
Decadent
essentially where
is?
Dylan and I smoke a cigar and discuss a movie or TV show property or some abstract idea. It started, I believe, with Bluey and over the summer.
It might have been Fallout. Actually.
Oh no, I think it was Fallout.
Yeah. And the Master Chief, Daryl himself, King of the Hackers, joins us every once in a while.
That's true. So
you do so while sitting on
a porch.
A deck. Decadent. You see? It's a highfalutin idea, folks.
Yeah, it's great. But no, it's fun. It's fun.
Smoke tank, but here we are.
Yeah, smoke tank now. Up in smoke tank. Decadent, I think, works.
No, I like Decadent.
All right. Well, we'll check that out.
And there may be a new Decadent by now. Who knows? We would have done it like 2 weeks ago, maybe.
Could even
be. Yeah, we were talking about that.
Very chilly, though.
Yes, that's why we got to do it now, and I got to show up.
As long as there's no wind, the temperature doesn't matter too much.
It is the wind that kills you. That's God. Speaking of ring cams, my security camera's been going off because my chair's been blowing back and forth on my porch. But again, this was weeks ago, so no one cares.
Could be those children who have been running.
I was going to say, Dylan, is the chair moving in a straight line? Get out your ruler.
It must be going somewhere.
Oh my God, it's going right to the post office.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we always ask for recommendations.
The giant envelope over the post office in his dreams.
From our guests, for movies you think people should see. So D-Rok, what is a movie you think people should see?
I really haven't been watching a lot of new movies lately. I find going to the theater, though. Hold on, I'm getting to it. Oh. So even though I find going to Mystic Cinema, I'm not sponsored by them, but the amount of times I mention them, especially in upcoming trailer trashed, I almost should be.
Get a free penguin when you go.
But recently, I had free penguin. I got to take it with me. Got to feed him those Swedish fish.
Do they know more about movies than the staff at AMC?
It sounds like. Tell you what, they agree that Zach Krager's a quack. So
I know it's a duck joke. The staff?
Quack, quack, quack. Well, no, they know more than the AMC staff because penguins know he's a quack.
Recommend.
Jesus, Dylan.
It's Thanksgiving.
So anyways, I haven't been going to the cinema as much except for Mystic, but I have been taking a page out of Ryan's book, and I've been buying 4Ks of movies that I don't own on Blu-ray already. So I'm starting to build up my physical library again. So my recommendation is going to be do that. Just buy buy the physical copies of movies you like. For example, Dragonheart. I have the 4K of Dragonheart. It's a great movie. I love watching it. And if I may be so bold, Ryan, it has a director's commentary.
Interesting.
I could
For
see
those
this.
of you who don't know, Ryan hosts a very popular podcast called One Track Mind that examines a movie through the lens of its audio commentary.
I thought that was a different Ryan Luis Rodriguez.
No, that's our Ryan Luis Rodriguez, Ben.
I would argue that it's not exactly popular, but thank you for that, Dylan.
Neither am I.
D-Rok will be
it's
on there.
Consistently the number one on good pods for physical media discussions. So I'm just throwing that out there.
And D-Rok, what would you say is the best part of Dragonheart?
Oh,
probably the heart.
Did you?
Probably the heart.
Did you?
Good night, everyone.
Yeah, okay. First of all, there are many parts of Dragonheart I like, but I especially love Randy Edelman's theme to the stars that plays at the end. I think it's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful ending in general. I really like, very emotional, even watching it as a grown up. And just that soundtrack, it swelled so much. And I love the way it sounded so much. I actually was like, I got to follow this up with The Rocketeer, but you can't buy a 4K of The Rocketeer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sucks. No,
it does suck.
It won't happen.
Disney won't do it.
They've barely gotten to Tron. They will not get to The Rocketeer.
And they should, because I love The Rocketeer.
Yeah,
it's always been one of my favorites. I always love Zeppelin fights.
Billy Campbell's going to...
Timothy Dalton is one of the greatest villains of all time.
And Errol Flynn as Nazi. Yes. I know, it's so much fun.
So good.
does sound fun. And
Hey, double me up and also recommend The Rocketeer.
I won't.
Call it
Come back.
second helpings.
But Derek, what are you thankful for then? You can
Right.
say
You have something that you're thankful for?
The Rocketeer.
Yes, excellent.
Right.
All right.
That was close. I almost didn't pick it up.
It all comes around. Now, Ryan, what is your recommendation?
Well, I'm not a big Saturday Night Live head. I used to be. E! Would regularly air reruns, as would Comedy Central. I acknowledge its place in the pantheon of popular culture, but I haven't watched it in more than a decade and couldn't care less about what they've been doing since. So it's odd that I would truckamend a documentary that dropped about a month ago from when this episode is recorded called Downey Wrote
Wayne's
That,
World. Oh.
which covers the work of the longest-serving writer on staff at SNL, Jim Downey, as told by the writers and performers of the past few decades and Downey himself. I love inside baseball documentaries, ones that present material that excites the filmmaker without considering if there's an audience for the material or not. Downey's no longer on staff, and it's especially evident in Weekend Update, which he used to write specifically for Norm Macdonald, who was fired for making too many jokes at the expense of murderer O.J. Simpson, a friend of one of the show's
Very
producers.
true.
And it's a shame, because even though 30 years is a nice place to exit, they need one of the masters of political satire back, so we never get Jim Carrey as Joe Biden ever again. Downey Wrote That is streaming exclusively on the home of SNL, Peacock.
You know who's a big fan of that film?
Don't do it.
That's right, Frank Stallone.
Oh, I thought you were going to do Peacock.
Ryan, what are you thankful for?
Listen.
I'm thankful for my family, and that includes the four of you gentlemen.
Oh, not you, D-Rok. You're not.
I wasn't sure if he was counting himself.
Four of you gentlemen.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
one,
the fat
two, three,
four.
four.
Yeah, I see 5 names on the list. I was assuming you meant yourself.
Well, he should be thankful for himself. We're all thankful for him.
That's true.
Now, Schlenzo D, what is your recommendation?
Well, thank you, Maynard. So, keeping with the child endangerment theme of this episode,
I'm sorry all the time we have. Edit this one out.
oh no, I'm recommending 2025's Clown in a Cornfield, and it is a real clown, not a living scarecrow. So demerits for that. But let's
Clowns.
get to it.
Clowns.
No, it's just clown.
No, in the movie.
Oh, in the movie.
Clowns.
And he
spoilers,
impersonates a scarecrow in one scene, I think.
That movie also impersonates a movie.
Yeah, regardless,
Oh, very
it
true.
is.
Very true.
Thank
It
you.
is a remarkably straightforward horror movie with a dash of mystery and a mercifully short runtime. It is sure to have all the kids saying 6-7 as generational tension is explored, and these
6-7.
characters actually feel like very modern iPad kids. Yes, sir, this one has that skibbity riz. The strength is actually the comedic elements, which unfortunately are all too often undercut by the brutal kills. I dare say the movie would have been much more effective if they had just pulled something out of their asses to justify all the main characters surviving. Apparently it is based on a book. That I cannot comment on, but it is currently streaming on all the usual suspects for rent or purchase. So if you need to pass a book report, take a gamble on the movie. But what kind of sus teacher is letting kids do book reports on this garbage anyway?
I don't-
just put out a commentary on Shudder, and it is twice as good as the film itself.
Plus, I don't think the movie follows the book super closely.
It does not.
Yeah.
No, but
The
like,
waiter actually is on that Joe Bob episode, and he talks about
Oh,
differences
really?
in
That's
the
pretty
source
cool.
material.
yeah, it's like I said, it's a remarkably straightforward movie. It does not take any
But
big
Dylan,
swings. It's pretty fun. Yes,
You
sir.
never mentioned that it's from the director of Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Now that movie I
Whoa.
love. That's a great movie. I didn't know that.
What
That's
are
why we keep
you
Ryan around. He knows things.
thankful for here, Schlenzo?
Well, since Ryan already covered the family, and I literally have my brother on the show, that would just be trite for me to say family. But I am thankful.
I mean, I didn't.
Yeah, I very much noted. Very much noted. But, you know, I've got to say this year, I've had more interaction with our fans and the broader podcast community since we've started. I've had the ability to be on some interesting shows with people who have been on here. I've had lots of conversations with fans on social media. When I went to the Las Vegas International Pipe Show, I was able to even meet a couple fans in real life, you know? So like that's been a very interesting experience. So I'm thankful for everyone out there who's listening. Keep sending the messages, the emails in. We read everything, even if we don't always respond. And every single one of them is special, and I promise I will get back to everyone at some point.
Yeah, you
In fact, when you listen to this podcast in the future, it will remind you to get back to.
We don't get enough of them for you not to be responding. You're not that busy.
They don't know that, man. I'm trying to make us sound
Anybody else?
This is why you're not the... Go ahead, Derek.
I was gonna say, anybody else think Dylan's answer sounded a little bit like Duke Phillips? I have no one to envy. I envy you for having me to. I have nothing to be thankful for. I am thankful.
Oh Lord, it's
for
hard
you
to be
being
humble
thankful
when you're
for me.
perfect in every way.
Yes.
Yeah, come on.
Duke catastrophe.
Yep.
Well, this is what keeps you from being the primary host of the podcast, Schlenzo. So speaking
Just
of that, let's
defense-
go to the primary host. Big Ben, what is your recommendation?
I have the conch. My recommendation is sort of kind of holiday adjacent. It's an animated feature about the importance of family and features decadent feasts as well. It's Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away. Featuring
Sick.
music. Yes. Featuring music from Reel's favorite guest, D-Rok Schlender over here's favorite composer, Joe Hisaishi. And
He
the
really
fluid
is.
warm. Yeah. And the fluid warm animation Ghibli is famous for. Boy, you threw me off, sir. Good job. Miyazaki's ability to craft an immersive fantasy world was evident in his first film, and the skill involved has only been honed since. Spirited Away is one of the all-time great animated films that not enough people have seen. It's a masterpiece. I go between this and Mononoke as to which is the best one. This one's kind of like Alice's Adventures in Yokai Land, as a young, somewhat belligerent girl named Chihiro becomes separated from her parents and slips into a fantasy realm. This yokai bathhouse she finds herself in looks absolutely gorgeous and is full of lived-in detail, as the monsters are just so cool. There's real character development in store for Chihiro as she learns the importance of what she had while finding the strength to carry on and reclaim what was lost. There are those themes of longing for a lost identity in this film that I think parallels the Japanese experience. Miyazaki films are even better than top shelf Disney. His films capture the true wonder, true joy, true peril, and true humanism that I think make them perfect holiday watching material.
I'm a Totoro guy, personally.
I agree with
Really?
everything Ben said. No notes. I also vacillate between Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke for which one's my favorite.
I have a
Whichever
soft
one I'm
spot.
watching at that moment, really.
Yeah. I have a soft spot for Castle in the Sky as well. I love
I
that.
love Castle in the Sky.
Yeah, just that
yeah.
sense of adventure and wonder is really front and center. So, I mean, Spirited Away is a fantastic pick.
I'm Totoro and Ponyo, and a little bit of Porco Rosso.
Dylan loves Porco Rosso.
Porco Rosso's good. That was my daughter's favorite when she was growing up. She always wanted to watch Porco whenever we'd pull out the Ghibli movies.
I've only ever seen Totoro, so I guess it defaults as my favorite. But
Yes, it does.
no, I guess. Big Ben, what are you thankful for?
I'm also going to say I'm thankful for you guys, but I'm going to go very specific about it because have you ever tried to get 5 people to meet at the same time? You guys make it so easy every time. I'm never stressed about the 4 of us and the guest getting together to make this happen. And D-Rok, you know, you didn't fight us at all either, so you're included in that.
I have no friends.
Yeah, well, that makes it easier.
It's
None of
easy to
these
get
are plus,
Schlenzo
though,
anywhere
so-
because he's not very busy at all. Now, my recommendation. Go ahead, Derek.
I was going to say, my friends ran away 2 years ago and were never found.
I'm sure they'll turn up somewhere. Now, my recommendation today is a film I thought would be worth catching in theaters, as it's a sequel to one of my favorite films in recent years. It's Black Phone 2 from 2025. Years after surviving his encounter with the Grabber, Finn and his sister Gwen begin receiving visions of the killer's first victims at a snowbound camp in the Rockies. And yes, it also just so happens to have an out-of-service phone lying around, which also receives calls from dead children. Those are very commonplace, you know. Now, let's see here. A child murderer who gets killed is now able to attack his victims by infiltrating their dreams.
Wait a minute.
Kills them in their dreams, they die in real life. Remind
Wait a
anyone of
minute.
someone? Let's
Yes.
get Wes
Jurors.
Craven on the phone. I've got that new sound he's been looking for.
Oh, I have some bad news about Wes Craven. Oh,
Oh no. Well, he can talk to us through this
Afraid
black
that's
phone.
not going to happen. Yeah.
He did say on the phone.
Other than losing major points in originality, this story is completely unnecessary, as everything was wrapped up just fine in the first one. The Grabber didn't need an origin story or to become a supernatural entity, and while I liked Ethan Hawke as the character, He isn't featured in this film nearly as much as the first, and when he is, it's almost exclusively behind his somewhat trademark mask. Now, let me say some nice things. I do like that the film focuses more on the psychically gifted sister. I do like the beautifully snowy ambiance of the location. And I really like the use of actual Super 8 and Super 16mm film for the dream sequences, rather than some digital touch-up after the fact. The film looks gorgeous, and the creepy ghost kids are just as creepy here. But it does commit the cardinal sin of any sequel by retconning a crucial element in the plot of the first film concerning the mother. Watch it and you'll see, and maybe you'll groan as painfully as I did in the theater. Luckily, nobody could hear me over the family in the back row who were, quote, talking loudly. No wonder I wait to catch everything at home. Go ahead and see the movie just so you can see how right I am about everything. But you might as well wait now until it's available on Peacock! Mm-hmm.
And Maynard, what are you thankful for?
I am also thankful for all you gentlemen. And of course, I am thankful for Sydney Sweeney.
Naturally.
We know why.
I can think of 2 reasons.
At least 2. And with that, we are all out of show, but we want to thank our guest, D-Rok Schlender, for joining us. Thank you so much, D-Rok.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to have you back next time as soon as they get that ankle bracelet off of you. And
no, I can do this from home.
And we're looking forward to it. And we hope everyone else will join us as well as the Reels of Justice keep turning.
Count it.
Alcoholics represent.
Yeah.
Please follow us on Twitter at Reels of Justice, Instagram Reels of Justice, and Facebook.com/Reels of Justice.